Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to English Storytime with Mark. I'm Mark. Today we're going to be reading a story called Esme by Munro, who sometimes went by the pen name Saki. So let's see what this story is all about. We were riding through the countryside on horseback, myself and Lady Bassington. She was the kind of woman who wore expensive but practical clothes and always had something clever to say, even if it wasn't very kind. It had been a boring morning. The horses were slow and the weather was dull. We hadn't seen anything interesting for hours, not even a bird. I was starting to feel regret coming on. Then, as we turned a corner near a forest edge, Lady B pointed to something lying in the grass. "What's that?" she asked, squinting. "Is it alive?" I looked closer. It was some sort of animal, long and thin, with sharp teeth and a scruffy coat. Not exactly a dog, and definitely not a fox. It looked like a hyena, but we were in England, so that didn't make any sense. "Well," I said, "I suppose it's a stray. Maybe an exotic pet that got away." Lady B clapped her hands with delight. "How exciting! Let's take it with us." "You want to take it home?" "Not forever," she said. "Just for the afternoon. I'm going to call it Esme." The creature didn't seem dangerous, just nervous and hungry. It let us put a rope around its neck and followed us like a dog. We led it back to the house where Lady B had lunch prepared. Esme sat quietly near the table, watching us with its big, odd-looking eyes. "It has lovely manners," Lady B said, tossing it a piece of roast beef. "It hasn't eaten a single child," I added. Lady B gave me a sharp look. "Really? You're impossible." After lunch, we sat in the garden drinking tea. Esme wandered off and disappeared behind some trees. A few minutes later, we heard shouting, and then a scream. Lady B stood up, teacup in hand. "What was that?" We ran toward the noise and saw a young boy, maybe 8 or 9 years old, crying and holding his arm. A woman stood nearby, yelling at us in broken English. "Your beast bit my child. Wicked animal. Wicked people." Esme was sitting nearby, licking its lips. Lady B tried to calm the woman down. "I'm terribly sorry. Of course we'll pay for any damage." The woman was furious. "You rich folk think money solves everything. That thing should be put down." Lady B tried to offer her some money, but she refused. She said she'd report us to the police. We were in trouble. Back at the house, Lady B was pacing. "We can't take Esme back to town. That woman will cause a scene. What if the papers get hold of it?" "Well," I said, "we could get rid of Esme." Lady B frowned. "Kill it? That's cruel." I shrugged. "We could set it free in the woods, or we could feed it something more satisfying." She gave me a strange look. "Are you suggesting we feed it something?" "Why not?" I said casually. "It has a taste for young flesh, apparently." She thought for a moment, then laughed. "You're dreadful, but it would solve everything." The next morning, we heard in the village that the woman's son had disappeared, vanished without a trace. People say he had run away. The police searched the area but found nothing. Lady B acted shocked in public, but privately she seemed calmer. Esme was never seen again. Later that week, someone asked her at a tea party, "Didn't you say you brought a strange animal back from the countryside?" "Yes," she said with a smile, "but unfortunately it disappeared shortly afterward. A real shame. It had excellent table manners." That was a pretty satirical story. The first I've read by Munro, who, as I said, goes by the pen name Saki. So I'm curious to read more by H. Munro, because so far what he's written seems kind of funny. So that will be it for our story for today. I hope you will join me next time for another story here on English Story Time with Mark. Bye, everyone.